Colt Cabana and Jimmy Jacobs versus Jimmy Rave and Sal Rinauro. The whole story of the match was Colt and Jimmy won. They were working together. They were happy.
They were pals.
They were pals. And fucked. It's the first thing I thought. Fucked. Something's going to happen.
I was watching the whole thing thinking, these guys are actually a great team. And knowing how the story turned out, I was watching it. It was bittersweet. It was a good match. They are a hell of a team. They were great together. And I was thinking, it's like reading Romeo and Juliet. You know in the end that they die. It's just sad.
In no way was this like reading Romeo and Juliet. Can't you say, like, it was like watching Star Wars 6? Shut up. 3. Whatever.
Whatever.
God, you're an idiot. So anyway.
What? I didn't fuck anything up.
You did. You compared
Ring of Honor to Shakespeare?
Yeah.
There's a Shakespearean theme here.
Oh, really? Jimmy Rave and Sal Rinauro?
No. Jimmy Jacobs and Colt Cabana.
Quiet down you for a second. Let me talk about this match. I don't need you fucking comparing this to Shakespeare. So then afterwards, Lacey was completely ignoring young Jimmy Jacobs and putting over Colt. And Colt was trying to be a nice guy, saying, Jimmy, we did it together. Come on now. And she wanted nothing to do with him. So Jimmy finally grabbed the mic and said, I did what you asked. I won. And she said, no, Colt won. And she said, tonight, I'm in such a great mood. It's time to take our relationship, Colt, to the next level. I want you to join Lacey's Angels. And he said, listen, let me lay down the law. There's a difference between business and personal. Humping in the van, that's personal. Shower, whatever. This bullshit's business. And I ain't going to be in Lacey's Angels, whatever. So anyway, she freaked out, and he called her a huge bitch, and she told Jimmy to beat him up, and Jimmy was about to, and Colt was giving him the big speech about how be a man, be the man these folks know you can be. This woman's a bitch. The fans trying to drop the hoe. He said she was just using you, blah, blah, blah. Let's go to Chicago and get some pizza and lap dances and love life. And so, of course, as they were leaving, Jimmy pulled up the ropes and crotched Colt and beat the fuck out of him, screaming to Lacey that he loved her. And it was funny because as soon as the angle started, everybody wanted to see Jimmy Jacobs dump this hoe. And they're all going crazy, and they're all excited, and they're stomping their feet, and they're chanting, and they're happy. And as soon as he turned on Colt, they were like, oh, great, you're still with Lacey. And the heat just died. And finally, B.J. Whitmer ran in to make the save, and the heels ran off, and Jimmy had used the high heel on Colt's eyeball, and so Colt was acting like he was blinded. And it was a really good angle, but like I said, I mean, this was a night where after all this time, they just wanted Jimmy Jacob to dump this hoe. And once he didn't, it was like, well, same old shit, and just keep going on, and that was that.
So you didn't like it?
No, I said it was a good angle. Are you deaf?
Well, you found a negative in anything in it, which surprises me. I thought the whole thing was just awesome.
Well, I'm looking at the fact that the audience, it wasn't like one of those swerves where everybody was into it. They didn't get a good reaction when he turned on them. They were like, oh, great, more.
Well, I just thought, well, now it sets up the Colt Cabana versus Jimmy Jacobs thing, which is what it was designed to do from step one. So I just thought that worked.
From step one years back?
From step one of Colt Cabana and Jimmy Jacobs teaming together, of Colt Cabana sleeping with Lacey, the whole thing was to build to this point where Jimmy would not dump her.
Sure, maybe. Well, obviously it was, but I don't know.
See,
this was almost to a lesser degree, but it's just like when they built up Angle and Hunter and Steph, God knows how long, the love triangle. They built it up, they built it up, they built it up, and then what happened in the end? She stayed with her husband, and everyone just went, oh, and it was dead.
What?
Perhaps on the next show this will be great. Perhaps the whole feud will be great. I don't know. But this was not what the people wanted to see on this evening.
Fine, I'll grant you that. But I just thought this whole storyline was so awesome because it progressed. The characters and their interaction with each other changed throughout, and it all made sense. Lacey wants to sign Colt, so she sleeps with him. Colt's saying, hey, free trim. All right, so he's hanging out with them. He doesn't know this Jimmy Jacobs geek, so he's throwing it in his face. And then the more he hangs out with him, he realizes This Jacob's kid's all right. He's a little screwed up in the head, but he's all right. And this girl is a bitch, and I hate her. And as time goes on, he stops flaunting it in Jimmy's face. So now Jimmy thinks Colt's cool because they're working together. Colt's forgiving him when Jimmy fucks up, and now they're pals. And then it all comes down to the big climax at the end where Colt tells Jimmy that he needs to dump the girl, and Jimmy just can't bring himself to do it. And now everyone loves Colt, everyone hates Jimmy, everyone hates Lacey, and everything's great.
This is how I would have done it. You had something here where the people wanted to see Jimmy Jacobs and Colt Cabana go to Chicago and get pizza and have lap dances.
Okay.
It was very clear listening to the people that they were going nuts.
Oh, I agree. They were going apeshit when Colt was teasing it.
And they just didn't do it. What they should have done is Jimmy Jacobs should have left with him. They should have gone to Chicago. They should have fucking got pizza. They should have got lap dances. They should have been pals. They were pals here. You could have gone with this for a little while. And then in the middle of a lap dance, Jimmy Jacob, I don't know, hit him with a stripper pole or something like that. Or something crazy and diabolical. Something could have happened here. You could have gone with this for a little while. It was clear that you were doing something here that the people wanted to see. Why did you have to so quickly ruin it?
I will agree that it seemed like that they could have put off the breakup later.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Because like they were.
This was building and building and building and building and building, and it built to when they were pals. And this was the first match that they were really pals.
Yes.
It was slowly building.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the first match, Jimmy cried the whole time. The second match, Jimmy cried for half of it. The third match, Jimmy just cried a little bit. And now all of a sudden, this match, they're friends.
They're putting on the headband. They're dancing together.
So you get to that point where they're your friends, and why do you have to immediately end that? Why not go with that for a little while?
Okay.
Especially with these two geeks. Can you imagine the skits of them in Chicago having pizza and getting lap dances? I guarantee that would be great.
I will grant you they probably could have held the angle off for a few shows.
And you could have had Jimmy at the strip club, and every girl he looked at just wasn't the same. And it was just sort of building inside him that, God, here I am, and I'm surrounded by all these girls, but none of them are Lacey. And then he finally fucking snaps and turns on him, and he's back with Lacey again. There are a million things they could have done here. This was too early. And the crowd, it made it obvious it was too early when he turned on him, and they were like, oh, great. Pulled the fucking trigger too early.
Okay.
You have nothing more to say?
Well, I'm not going to change your mind, so I've given up.
You don't think that'd be a good idea?
It could have worked. I said they probably did it too early.